Okay, ladies. So I got this idea. Actually, I listened to a podcast and I was like, whoa, that's really interesting. And we kind of talked about it last week, but I just wanted to talk about like food rules that we have basically made up for ourselves, right? And so I kind of put on Facebook, like, I can't eat after a certain time, or, like I can't ever eat pasta, or, um, like no sour cream. Like people have like these weird things they make up, right? I mean, sometimes it doesn't even make sense. So I just thought that let's talk about it and let's talk about like why we have these food rules and either debunk them or, maybe they have a small place. Who knows? It depends on what it is. So um, I'm just going to open it up straight to that.
Well, I heard something interesting today as I was scrolling through Instagram reels. Someone had posted that if you have what you would consider not a good meal, like fast food or something, to make sure your next meal is more healthy. So you never have two bad meals in a row.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was interesting. I really liked it. I'm like, if there's a food rule, that's a good food rule.
I agree. I totally agree. See, like not all food rules are bad. Like I actually really like that food rule.
Yeah. So if you have fast food or something that you would consider not great, then you want to make sure your next meal is great. And he said it builds consistency. So
it totally does. It totally does. I like
that. I had dairy, full disclosure here, I had Dairy Queen for lunch. So the next meal is going to be the pork roast that I made last night with mashed potatoes and vegetables. So it will be fit me.
I actually really like that rule. I used to have a rule, like I never ate butter. For some reason, butter was like a no-go. Like even at restaurants, I'd be like, can I have that like steamed with nothing? Like I never even cooked fat with my vegetables. Because it just was a rule. Like it just, why eat the extra fat? But that is also when I equated dietary fat with body fat, right? Fat, whatever. It's just a word association. And as soon as I started cooking my vegetables with fats, I was like, oh my God, I've been like missing out my whole life.
I love butter.
It's good. It's good.
I had somebody once tell me if I wanted to lose weight, I had to avoid anything white. So sugar, dairy, bread, pasta, potatoes, anything that was white in color.
Interesting. And did you believe it? Did you kind of go with it?
I tried it. But it's not something that I can do long term. It wasn't something that was sustainable.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, actually.
Yeah, I was like, I can't cut everything out that's white, like how do I?
That's an interesting one.
That's like saying cauliflower isn't okay.
I know.
I had one. Somebody told me that in order to lose weight, you need to eat your heaviest or largest meal at breakfast, and every meal throughout the day has to get smaller. So your last meal of the day should be your lightest meal, not your heaviest meal.
Interesting. Like I can see how that one could take on like, oh yeah, I could see how, I could see how that one could take on like a definite.
I'm not convinced that it's not true.
In reality, calories are calories. So it doesn't really matter. If you're having like if you're eating like a 2,000 calorie diet, it really doesn't matter if you intermittent fast and eat all your calories at the end of the day, or if you break them up evenly throughout the day, or if you have less and then more or more, it doesn't matter. Remember what I told you about the 3,500?
Yes, ma'am.
Calories? 3,500 calories to make 1 pound, right? And so it doesn't matter when those are eaten.
Damn. Okay.
Debunked myth. And I also used to have a rule that I wouldn't put any cream in my coffee, like nothing. It just, I don't know why. It just, the fat again is what I think it was. It was like a fat thing. I had a fat phobia, and
Did you even enjoy food at that point?
I know, no, right? I was a mess. I had the
Okay.
worst relationship with food. The food didn't really notice or care, but I was a hot mess.
I don't have any. Well,
I still have a hard time with the eating after, that dinner's my last meal, and having a late, or having anything after. It's not really a time, but it's like, okay, once I'm done with dinner, that's it.
And in reality,
it's hard.
well, in reality, if you're not hungry after dinner until you go to bed, then that's fine. But instead of having like a hard, fast rule, we should listen to our like hunger cues more so than like, like after breakfast, I can't eat anything until lunch. Like, well, if I get hungry, like I used to do that. I used to live on like a time clock, like I meals at certain time. And even if I was hungry earlier, it was like too bad, because your rule is that you eat at 6, 10:30, 1 o'clock. Like I was on pretty regimented rule. And I just realized that that's kind of ridiculous. Like we should eat when we're hungry. Ideally.
Definitely eat when we're hungry. I've heard that rule too, not eating after a specific time, but I don't do that. I do try to balance my calories for every meal, although breakfast is my lightest because all I eat is yogurt and cottage cheese. And then I usually have a salad for lunch, so there's usually not a lot of calories in that. So my heaviest meal is at dinner time. And then after dinner, when Harmony goes to bed, I make my yogurt pudding. I'm like, I'm not going one night without my yogurt pudding.
You like it. You feel good about it.
It's like a treat. I just love it. And I'm like, I found something healthy that I really like to eat. So.
And sometimes we make up food rules that we feel very strongly about in our minds, but we always break them. And then we have this strong feeling of like guilt, shame, all these things because we've broken our food rules, right? And one of those for me is consistently sugar. Like it's consistently, I'm not going to eat any sugar today. And then I do. And then it's like, I broke my rule. Like I went against all the things I wanted for myself, and it goes into this, like feeling really shitty about myself. But in reality, it's like, I never really thought about like, why am I eating sugar? Am I eating enough during the day? Am I, like all the things that go along with that. I just put it as a rule that is like literally an impossible rule. Like we're never, ever going to not eat something again. I mean, unless it's like snails or something, we don't like them, but we're never going to like not eat something again. It's really unrealistic to say that. And so a lot of times we have these food rules that we break all the time. And then we'd start this vicious cycle of like guilt and shame. And so that is another thing. That is another reason why some food rules need to be like debunked, thrown out, and just put more realistic. Like, does that make sense?
Absolutely.
I just have to say one thing about sugar, that since I've been eating the yogurt pudding that I make, because I make it with sugar-free Jell-O, I have not been craving sugar at all. I think it's because I'm getting enough protein.
Yeah, what you're eating has like a lot of redeeming qualities, and it's just like, and we kind of talked about this last week about having like a healthier version of like a treat, which I think is fine. If you feel good about that, then to each their own. It's when you start feeling, and like yours is a healthier treat. It's got higher protein, but it's got no sugar, and so it's probably, does it have a little bit of fat in it too?
It has sometimes I add peanut butter to it, but it's non-fat yogurt. Usually I get full fat yogurt, but I got non-fat this last time. So it's non-fat yogurt, 6 grams of sugar-free pudding mix, 1 ounce of Premier Protein. It's a liquid protein drink. And then for fats, if I need more calories for my day, because Sam has me up over 200 or over 2,000 calories right now. Like, how am I supposed to get that in? So I add peanut butter, and then for carbs, I add strawberries. So it's Fitme inspired because it's got protein, fat, and carbs.
I agree. And that's why it's more satisfying. Like when we just eat cookies, like, I don't know about you guys, but I'm like, okay, I'm going to break my food rule. I'm just going to have one cookie. And then it kind of spirals into like, well, wait, that wasn't actually what I wanted. What I wanted was, this chalk brownie over here. And then I eat the brownie and I'm like, well, that's not exactly what I wanted, because what I want is like either water or sleep or like nutrients, not just like sugar. That's what my body wants, because like I called it last week, it's because it's an energy craving more so than like an actual like sugar craving, is what I think for myself. Because usually I'm tired or I haven't eaten enough. And so sometimes rules need to be like, and like kind of the point of this call also is like, as you're going through your life and your day, now you can think like, when you're thinking something like, oh, I can't, or I need to, or you can be like, whoa, that's like a weird food rule I've actually put on myself. Like, what can I do to like delete this food rule? Because we need balance. It's like everything in moderation, including moderation, like sometimes we need to like have the treat or have that pasta or eat after 8 or whatever it may be. I know I have like 5 million food rules. I just can't think of like any right now.
I tried thinking of food rules, but I was like, I guess I used to about the whole sugar. I'm not going to have sugar. I'm not going to have sugar. But then I just crave sugar. So I stopped doing that a long time ago, but I really, really don't have any now. I've just let them all go, and I eat what I want to eat when I want to eat it most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'll also do like a break a food rule with something like pizza. Like, I'm not going to have the pizza. Like, I don't need the pizza. Like, for some reason, pizza is bad. I don't know why it's so good. And so like, I always end up like, okay, I'm just going to have like a sliver of pizza. Right. And so I cut it in a quarter or whatever. And I'm like, okay, I accept that. That's okay. And then it snowballs into like the other quarter and then another quarter, it snowballs. Like, I should just make the decision to either have pizza tonight or not have pizza tonight. Get my pizza, sit down, eat it as a meal, because I'm usually not doing that. I don't know if you guys have ever done this. Like I said, you're not going to have something and then you're in the kitchen putzing around and you're like having a quarter of pizza, and you're not even really enjoying the thing. And so it's also kind of about like, is this a rule or is this a decision I want to make for right now? And why do I not want to eat the pizza? Do I not want to eat the pizza because I think the pizza's bad? Or do I not want to eat the pizza because I got some goals and the pizza doesn't really fit in? I want to have something else down, later in the week. So also like challenging our food goals, like, or our food rules, like, and making them decisions, like mindful decisions instead of just like out of habit food rule.
I have another one. My mom says, and she has no idea what she's talking about most of the time when it comes to nutrition and food, but she said if you drink something hot with your meal, your body processes it better and it prevents you from gaining weight unnecessarily. I believe half of it is probably true. The part about it helping maybe it process, but if it's a 5,000 calorie meal, boiling hot water isn't going to cut that into anything other than a 5,000 calorie meal.
I've never ever heard that before.
So I don't know what it is, but she really literally drinks hot tea with every meal.
Everybody's getting their tea kettle out tonight.
And then my aunt told me if you wanted to lose weight quick, eat cabbage every day with every meal and have that as the main portion of the meal and everything else smaller than that. And somehow the cabbage will make you use the bathroom and it has more water or something in it. So it fills you up faster and you lose weight. I don't know if any of that is true. Neither of them have any idea about nutrition, though. I know that for a fact.
It sounds very old school.
Yeah.
I actually want to show you guys this. It's in my garage. I'll do it on a different call. But my aunt, she's like 79 years old or something. She has dementia. She lived in LA her whole life. She's this professional dancer, really like successful dancer, been dancing her whole entire life. And so but she has gotten dementia and she moved up here. And so my dad has all her stuff, right? So me and my sister are going through her stuff. And you've got to be kidding me how many like grapefruit diet, like old, like 50s, like magazines and like all these weird diet books that she has. And I kept them. I was like, I got to look at these. These are so weird. I've got to show you guys one time because that's what it reminded me of. Just really old school stuff that people actually believe. Like people just eating bunch of celery because celery burns more calories digesting than it has in it, right?
Lord.
And so, or like the grapefruit diet, like all these things, like, yeah, you're probably going to lose weight in the grapefruit diet if all you're eating is grapefruit. Like, you know what I mean? It's just calories. It's calories.
Yep.
It's calories. That's like the science of losing weight is energy in versus energy out. And so don't get your teapots out. It's not going to work. But that is interesting.
Teresa said, pretty sure all of the food rules I've ever had were directly related to whichever diet I was trying.
100%, because all those diets have food rules. And that's why they're so hard to do forever. Because like, I feel like a lot of people gravitate towards keto because there's only one food rule: no carbs. And that feels pretty simple versus like low fat, low carbs, high protein, no salad dressing, no blah, blah. It's like, okay, I can just do one thing, no carbs. Like I can do that. I feel like that's why people always go back to keto. I mean, it does work, but anything works if you're consistent, right? Anything works if you're consistent. And so that is very true, Teresa. Like, so all the things have food rules. And that just messes with the mind, because that's where like the shame and guilt, come in when we break a food rule, because we are bound to break a food rule. It's just going to happen.
I think what's hard breaking food rules is the fact that you see results doing certain things. And I know for myself, like in the past, I've gotten addicted to certain things and doing certain things because I was seeing results. And so those rules and those guidelines, it's not, a lot of times the black and white is good. Like, it's like, okay, I need the black and white. But when you throw that gray in there, it's like, oh, wait, I just gained 3 pounds. Like,
yeah,
now I've got, or that punishment where I just ate, I ate the chocolate cake. So now I have to run an extra mile or, and so coming into Fitme, it's a completely different mindset, and it's very different, and it's unlearning. You're unlearning those things, but it's hard. It's hard because you don't, you want to be healthier and you want something that's sustainable, but at the same time, you're like, oh, wait, well, that worked too. Yes. For a time. Yep. If I,
that's why when we do things like that, like, that is why we've gotten ourselves into this mess, because we've tried all these things that actually work. And it's not really a weight loss problem. It's like a maintenance problem, because we do these things that have all these rules, blah, 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 to get to the end game of the weight loss. But it doesn't actually teach us like how to eat proper, how to have balance, how to live our life, how to be happy, all these things. And so that the second we break any of those rules and we gain 3 pounds, we're like, I want to do this, but and that's why we always kind of end up gaining weight again. And so
Well, and over the years, you pick up all these different rules
Yes.
from all these different
Yes.
diets, and it gets confusing. And you're like, what am I supposed to be doing right
Yes.
now?
Yep. Yep. And besides the fact that we've screwed up our brains, we've maybe screwed up our metabolisms in our bodies also. And so the things that we used to do that work, all these food rules that used to do aren't working anymore. So we want to get stricter on all these food rules that we have. And then the stricter we get, the more we break them. And it's like this, like this cycle of just like self-loathing, for lack of a better word. And then we
So
give up.
I figured I do the, so I've been doing enough diets. I'm old enough now to understand like what foods are good for my body, what feels good. And so like most of my rules are really around like, do you really want to eat that? Because you know how you're going to feel. You know what it does to your body. So I definitely have a conversation with myself when I eat outside the parameters of the Fitme plates, where I'm like, do you really want to feel that way?
Yeah, no, I like that because you're making that like an in the moment decision. You know, you're taking that rule and being like, okay, I know how it's going to make me feel. It's not a hard, fast rule. It's a decision. Hey, I really want this, whatever it is. And I don't care if I feel like crap after, I'll suffer the consequences, or like, oh no, I don't feel like doing that. And so that's like what focusing and learning about our food rules, that's kind of what we want to make them into. We want to like take the power away from them, because it's so weird. It's so crazy what we give our power to. Like we give our power to this inanimate, okay, how do I say that? Inanimate object?
Inanimate.
Okay, I lost it. Object that doesn't care whether we eat it or not. It's like we give all this power away. And so like kind of taking our power back and being like, no, I'm in control here. I'm not out of control. I'm in control.
Well, I do the same thing with portions. You've got portions. And so like what you just said about taking, like the food isn't going to be mad at you if you feel full and throw the rest of it away. But we were told from the time we were born that you will eat everything on your plate. If you throw it away, you are being wasteful.
Yes. Yes. And that used to be a food rule in my family. We ate dinner at the table and we had to ask to be excused. And it was like, well, all right, or eat more zucchini, or nope, eat the rest of your pasta, or you know what I mean? So that's like we had to ask to be excused. Yeah. And so when I had kids, I used to be like, no, 10 more bites. But as I've been learning, I don't do that anymore. You know, my kids don't even have food qualms. It's so cool. I've never seen it before. They're just like, no, I'm stuffed. Like, you know, they get ice cream, it's in the freezer. And they're like, I actually don't feel like having this tonight. I'm like, who are you? And so I stopped like pushing, like, finish your meals. No, you need to have a snack. You need to buy, you know, and if they're done, they're done. And that was kind of a huge realization of a food rule that I had passed on to me, that I was passing on to my family. Wow, all of a sudden I'm thinking about all these food rules. Did anybody have the no eating fruit food rule? Does anybody have that?
Absolutely not.
I'm telling you not to eat fruit. I'm giving you that rule.
I am not hearing that at all, Leah.
Teresa said only when doing keto.
Yep.
Teresa said only when doing keto.
I'm like, how come I can't see my chat come up?
Because I have been on like a macro counting situation, I do think about fruit before eating it now. Mm-hmm. Especially I'm drawn to certain fruits and kind of shy away from others because of the macro content.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the sugar. I used to never eat fruit. And what?
Know, Weight Watchers, the assigning of points. Mm-hmm. They went like all the fruits and veggies were free. When I first joined, that wasn't the case. Yeah, so it's like really tricky to like sit down and eat a whole banana.
Yeah. I used to never eat fruit ever. Once in a while I'd have berries, but it's like fruit's so good. And fruits and vegetables are where we get our micronutrients, like our vitamins and minerals. And so of course you're going to hear, and we will probably tell you, like when you're in a weight loss season, try to keep it to 2 servings, but that's 2 servings is still, 2 servings that's plenty of fruit for the day.
When I was in Weight Watchers, there was a woman who was complaining that she wasn't losing weight. And so after the leader questioned more, she said she was buying a watermelon a day and cutting it up and snacking on it in between, and she would eat an entire watermelon on top of all her other food a day. So can you imagine how much sugar? I mean, natural sugar, sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's good for you, but it's like anything else. It's just about, it's calories is what it is. Keto is hard. I thought keto was hard. I mean, getting in all that fat is like, it's hard.
I don't know if it's a food rule per se, but there are certain foods that I still find myself kind of avoiding. It's a cross between knowing the macronutrients and what Lisa said about how am I going to feel afterwards. And then it's kind of like a triggering thing where I know that if I have a little bit, it's going to lead to more. Or like, I just don't think nutritious, like cereal. I would never opt to eat cereal for breakfast because to me, honestly, I feel like cereal should be down the dessert aisle. It's desserts. I mean, it's carbs and sugar, basically. So I avoid that. And another weird one for me is like frozen yogurt. I can't do, if I get frozen yogurt, and I always say I'm going to get just a little bit, I never do. I get a lot. And even though I'm full, like after a certain amount, I will eat all of it. And then I will feel awful. And this might be TMI, but then it wants to come up on its own. And no, it doesn't happen with any other dairy. So it's not a dairy thing, but it's really weird. So there's just certain foods I avoid. And it's like, I don't know that it's a rule, but I would feel also really difficult to sit down and eat like an entire huge bagel. Unless I was on vacation, maybe, you know what I mean? Like a bagel on the East Coast with all the schmear.
And I think that's okay. I think it's like cool to have like preferences and not preferences, because I'm the same way. I don't remember the last time I ate a bagel. It's just kind of not something that I eat very often. I used to eat cornflakes. It had to be the Western Family brand. That's the only brand I liked. It had to be the Western Family brand, and a scoop of protein powder every morning. And Christy was like, as when I was one-on-one with her, and she's like, someday I'm going to get you off that cereal. Now I'm off it. Protein powder on it.
No milk.
Oh yeah, and almond milk. Yeah, in milk too. In milk. Oh yeah.
I mean, it's a carb, but I'm just talking about like my daughter and my husband. They eat cereal every single morning. I don't know. It's just something I guess in my head it is a food rule. It just feels like not food.
Well, it's not your preference, and that's okay to have a preference to, a preference or a not preference. In food, especially like Linda just said, like the frozen yogurt like comes up on its own. Like if we think about how we like how it makes us feel, that's like amazing. Like I never really cared about that before Fitme. Like I never really listened to my body like that. And so it's just kind of the whole thing about food rule is like, we are people, we're in control of ourselves. It's not healthy to be too far one way or too far the other way. We kind of get mental. And so having a balance of like reaching our goals and feeling good and all the things, but still enjoying life, I feel like is very important, because a lot of times when we're following a diet or whatever, it has so many rules that we don't feel like we're enjoying life. We feel like, oh God, I gotta go to this barbecue. I can't eat anything, or, whatever it is. And that's just no fun. That's no fun at all. Or even when your family comes in and they're like having ice cream on the couch or something, and it's like, oh, you guys suck. Like, no, your food rules suck. We don't suck. It's kind of like, just recognizing that and being able to like make choices.
I do agree with Raquel though. Sometimes black and white is so much easier.
It is.
I mean, not like sustainably to like live your life and be social and do all those things. When it comes to social outings, it gets very difficult, but it's easier really, I mean, to have these hard, fast rules. Then when you play around in the gray area to live your life, you know, it's harder. But like I said, I mean, I don't agree with the black and white because it can't do it for a length of time.
No, when I did two bodybuilding shows, and those are 12-week diets that are black and white. There's no bite of it. It's a meal plan. Every meal is planned for 12 weeks. And so there's no licks, there's no bites, there's nothing of anything else. And guess what? The body transformation, what you can do with food when you stick to certain black and white rules, it's amazing. It's amazing. But guess what? It's so unsustainable. Obviously, we're not all trying to get down to like 6% body fat for a bodybuilding show. So this is a little bit extreme. But in the same time, you know why I don't do them anymore? Because after every one, okay, rules are gone. Let's go eat the whole place down. And so it's like, that's not healthy. That's not healthy for the mind. That's not healthy for the body. And it's hard to come out of that because your body wants so much because it's so depleted that it's binge central. And so that's why I don't do bodybuilding shows anymore, because I didn't have the mind for it. But that's kind of on a huge grander scale, what happens to all of us when we're just following a black and white diet. By the time we're done, the body's like, this is enough, people. Enough. And then it's like the vicious cycle of diet, gain weight, diet, gain weight, diet, gain weight. Does anybody else have anything to say they want to talk about?
I have a question. Is there, I mean, I don't know, and for me, sometimes I feel like I'm always, maybe because I gained so much weight, and from where I started and then where I am now, but I don't feel like I'm in a constant weight loss season, but I kind of feel like, that's the carrot, right? Like you want to lose weight. And so with the food around it, I don't know what I'm trying to say.
The carrot for what?
To lose weight. Like my carrot is, I want to lose weight, right? I want to feel better and I want to learn all of these new habits and all of these things, but
you want to lose weight the whole time along the way.
Yes. And that's not, I don't feel like that's realistic, right? Like, I mean, that's not realistic. Like you're going to lose weight and then you hit a plateau and then, and then you got to tweak some things, but
here's what I think. I think like, let me just make up an avatar, right? So like somebody comes in, they're maybe 40 pounds overweight. I don't know, I'm just making this up. They eat fast food, they drink sodas, they have dessert every night, all the things, right? Okay, they're probably eating high calories. This is like the ideal person who will probably lose weight longer than the weight loss season. All they got to do first is clean their food up. They're going to clean their food up and they're going to see results. Their inflammation is going to come down, like all the things. Probably calories are obviously going to come down because they're cleaning their food up, but they're not cleaning all their food up yet because that's too much. That's too much at once. So they're still losing weight, and then they get their habits kind of, maybe this is a 3-month process, they've lost weight. And, usually we say like 3 months is it, 12 to 16 weeks is it on a weight loss season. They're still high calorie. Now they clean their food up a little bit more, still haven't really cut calories, just clean their food up, and they still lose a little bit more weight. So see where I'm going with this? It all depends really on what your metabolism is. Like the ideal client, and I hate it, whatever, is like the ideal weight loss client is someone who comes in at a surplus that is like healthy or above, like their calories are solid or they're in a surplus. They see results right away, and probably for a longer time than the person who's been dieting all the time and has gained weight, not because they're in a surplus, but because they've just messed themselves up of lifelong dieting, up, down, low calorie, high calorie, all over the place, just the vicious circle of like a long time of that. that person is not going to probably lose weight as long doing less. And so the stress on the body is going to be more. And that person also may need to go on a reverse diet first, which is the shittiest thing on the planet for somebody to hear when all they want to do is lose weight. Like, well, your calories aren't there. We can't, else we're just a thing again, and you're going to be stuck in the cycle. And so that is another reason why it's really hard to diet that long. Like, you cleaned your food up, right? You cleaned your food up and lost weight. Are you still losing weight?
No.
You're on a reverse diet. Are you gaining weight?
Mm-hmm.
Well, sometimes this is also what happens when you go on a reverse diet. You lose weight, you lose 10 pounds, you got to take a diet break, you lose 4 pounds. You go on a weight loss season again, you lose 10 pounds, you go on a diet break, you lose 4 pounds. You see how that goes? Sometimes when you're coming from a world that maybe you need to eat more calories, that's what a weight loss year is going to look like. We just can't be in a weight loss all the time, because weight loss is stress on the body, and the body gets over it. The body gets over it and starts getting pissed off. It's a hard one to learn because the mind's still in it to win it, right? But the body's like, no, I'm not. And so I'm not really sure, like, your carrot still has to be weight loss, even though you're in a reverse. And it's more like, reframe that from weight loss to, like, you know, if our motivation is always weight loss, that is just a very kind of unhealthy place to live. The motivation has to be at some point, like, I'm doing this so that my body can get healthy and, like, run optimally. And then I'm going to get to a healthy state where I want to maintain and sustain for the rest of my life, versus like, this is for weight loss, 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 right? Then we're just doing that cycle that we've always done. I don't know if that's helpful.
It is. It's really helpful.
I'm right there with you, because I'm in a reverse right now, obviously, with my calories going up and up and up and up. But I was eating so low calorie, even when I started Fitme, when I started tracking, I mean, I was only eating 1,200 to 1,300 calories.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to 1,500 and then to 1,700 and to, you know, now to 2,000, and, you know, who knows where I'll end up. But with the amount of calories that my body's burning, I need to add probably another 200 or 300 calories to this. And I'm like, I don't want to, but I know for my body to work the way I want it to work, I have to do it.
Yeah. And that's kind of, when you're on a reverse, there's this little mantra that you got to tell yourself often: trust the process. Just got to trust the process. Like, just trust the process. This is hard, but this is going to get me to a place where I can lose weight and stay there and live my life. Not like lose weight, get there, all the rules go out the window, gain weight again, then want to lose weight, then want to gain weight. Oh, that's kind of when I'm on a reverse, what I have to think of is, like, remembering, like, I'm doing this so that I can, like, lose weight and fit in my clothes and feel really good in my skin. And it's okay to say that. That doesn't mean that you don't like yourself. It's okay to want to lose weight and like yourself. Like, that's totally cool. And so the whole thought is, like, I'm doing this so that I can have a healthy metabolism and body, so that I can lose weight, stay there, and stop this friggin' cycle and just live my life. Like, that is the whole point of, like, a reverse diet.
And also, even in a reverse, if you're strength training, you can still change your body composition and lose inches and not lose weight.
Yeah,
because
true.
I have lost 13 pounds since I started, but I have lost way more inches from the time I started calculating my inches. I've lost 4.75 inches off my body.
Yeah.
So it's just, your body just changes. Even though I'm eating way more calories than I was, I'm still changing my body composition. So, and you have to, if you haven't taken before and after pictures, start taking those pictures, because every few weeks you can see the change in your body, or take your measurements and see the change that way.
And one thing I like to tell people when they're on a reverse, and I don't know if you lift weights or doing a strength training program, but it's like, take advantage of like the fuel that your body finally has and go out there and like see your strength. Like do a strength training program because you'll be badass. Because we're badass when we're fueled. Like literally the body's badass when we're fueled. When we're not fueled, not so much. Okay, ladies.
I agree.
Oh, go ahead. Totally.
I agree. I agree.
Totally. Okay, ladies, I've taken you way over. So
Thank you.
if they want to talk about anything next week, just let me know. And thank you. Have a good night.
Thanks.
Thanks, Leah.
Bye.
No, Leah.